We're going to transition now to Kathleen Winn, who is on the Untrafficked Board of Directors.
A lot of trafficking occurs in Arizona. And I've been working in the anti-trafficking space officially since 2010 and have helped draft laws and change protocols. We currently are going to be hosting the Super Bowl again in 2023. And it seems like that's a long time away, but in fact it is not, because it happens in February of 2023. And the criminal enterprises that sell human beings are currently coming to our state, establishing themselves and getting ready for the sale of human beings here for a major sporting event. And although we hear Super Bowl is the worst event, the truth is that we have spring training every year with Florida. And spring training actually is probably one of the worst events because you have 15, 16 teams showing up and all their fans. And typically people will commit this kind of crime, not in their own backyard, but remotely. This past year in the legislature, I was able to secure $2.75 million to bring technology to our state. So my hope is that we can partner the untrafficked people with our local law enforcement and use our resources to track those that are human beings. Currently at our border this last month, we seized fentanyl, which may seem unrelated, except that unfortunately the criminal enterprises that traffic human beings, traffic guns, and traffic drugs. And there was so much fentanyl seized that it could kill every man, woman, and child in this country. And that is what we captured. What we don't know is what is out there that we have not captured. So just to go back from 2011 to 2015, I served as the community outreach director for the state of Arizona Attorney General's office. And it was during that time that I saw where children were vulnerable. One of the things we did teach in school was inappropriate touching. So that if someone came and made you feel uncomfortable, that you should report it to a trusted adult. And not all of that was pedophilia, but it at least made kids aware that their bodies were a safe place and that strangers should not be touching them or using them. And it's something that consistently is a problem here. We have almost close to 20,000 children in care right now, meaning foster care. And 96% of those kids are in care because of drugs. So we have a meth problem, we have a heroin problem, and now we have a fentanyl problem. And if you go back to the source of this, who's producing drugs for this country? How is that happening? Who benefits if Americans are dying from drug overdose? So I tend to work on problems strategically. When it comes to the anti-trafficking, this last legislative session, we also passed a law that if you are caught having sex with a 12-year-old or making porn with a 12-year-old, and you're convicted, you go to jail for the rest of your life. So that was a big, thanks. That was a big push. The question everyone should ask is, well, why is it 12? Why isn't it 13? Why isn't it 14 and under? But 12 is what we could get past. And so it's a starting point. And I think it's important that if you understand, and based on what Dr. Crawford said, at the second that happens, that victim, that child's life is changed forever. When a child is molested or used inappropriately or used to produce a product, or whatever it is. So we can never go back and really restore, redeem. We can recover that child, we can help them. But from the moment that child has become a victim, we now have a different set of issues to deal with. In Arizona, we have 342 missing children currently. Disproportionately, the children that are missing are children of color, meaning Hispanic, Asian, and or Black. We separately than that, because it's taken care of separately. We have over 3,000 missing Native American children, which barely goes reported. We have 22 tribes in Arizona. So is trafficking happening in Arizona? Yes, it is. I currently, for the last year, have worked with a mom whose 14-year-old daughter, 2 years ago, walked out of her perfectly good house, wrote mom a note, said, I'll be back. We are still looking for her, and we're using technology to find her. The police department looked at the case, the FBI looked at the case, and she was treated as a runaway. So a lot of hours and days went by before they realized she wasn't coming back. And this happens over and over again, so that I would tell you cases are misdiagnosed. People say it's a runaway case, and we don't put the proper resources on those cases in the very beginning. And we have to use the technologies and the advancements that are being provided sooner rather than later. And we've been very fortunate that in this case, I've got some executives from IBM that are now can track phones even when they're turned off, some things, and we've gone back and looked at this case. And so 45 days ago, we figured out who she was with the night she went missing. Now realize the family's 2 years into this case, but we're 45 days into this case and we're starting to make progress. And I know that the people on this call have those same kind of skills and abilities. So I think that there's a huge opportunity for us to serve people. As it relates to me, God has trained me, I think, for this moment in time. And I do believe God is calling forth an army, that we need to take back our children, that we need to protect them, that we need to draw a line and say, not on our watch. This country is worth fighting for. This country is worth saving. I personally, my husband and I, we have 7 children. I have 14 grandchildren. 11 of them are 5 and under. So I am not going down without a fight. And I am a very strategic thinker. I will give it everything I have. And so this fight, I work with all the border sheriffs. I work with all the chiefs of police on the border all over the state. And God put me there. And they trust me, and I bring resources. And so I know that I'm in the right place at the right time. And I am just committed to continuing to give voice to the survivors that we have so far this year. And I don't have an agency that does this. I have a nonprofit, but we've recovered 7 missing girls that had gotten on
Awesome.
in a bus. Yeah, thank you. Thank
You're
you so
doing
much.
great work, Kathleen.
I know I'm in the right place, right? And this mom that I'm walking with, I know I'm there to support her, and her story's gotten international attention. So I am praying for a happy ending for her and her daughter. But these are tough walks, and I so want to dismantle the criminal enterprise that do this. So I'll complete with this, that some of the information, we identified 150 criminal enterprises coming into Arizona. And from that intel, I turned it over to the ACTIC, which is part of the Department of Public Safety here. And they are now prosecuting a series of massage parlors that are funded by the cartels. And that money that we tracked, the profits from people's depravity and perversion, because these aren't real massage parlors, they're sexual places, and all kinds of horrible things go on there, was going back to China. So we have to wake up to the fact that we, by committing sins, by not being our best and most holy selves, are helping fund our own demise. And we have to wake Christians up across this country. And I appreciate the time, and there's all kinds of questions about the border. We have hundreds of thousands of immigrants showing up, many children with numbers on their hand, and unfortunately this administration is turning them over to their traffickers. I've watched several people die in the desert in July, and I've seen little girls with no voice because they were raped so repeatedly.